Welcome to the show, Mr. Tariq, once again.
Thank you, Arif.
And we were discussing about Obamacare becoming the law of the country now. And we had this lady call the other day, and she wanted to know that since this is the law today, tomorrow it could change. And what if Mitt Romney comes over as the president? How do you see this going on?
Well, that's a great question. I also received some feedback on the point that I made, and what I said was, and I need to be very clear that I didn't make a political statement leaning one way or the other. My point just was that Obamacare, which is also known as the Affordable Health Care, is the law of the land. And Niti from Springfield and Raju, I believe, from the Burke area called and said that it wasn't really fair for me to say it was the law of the land because it could change if Mitt Romney becomes president. And I totally agree with that. He has pledged to get rid of Obamacare on day one. Let's see if it happens in practical terms. It's extremely difficult to have the president aligned with the Congress, the Senate, and the House, and then they come together with a 60-vote majority and they actually repeal Obamacare. It's going to be tough, but I stand by my original statement that it is the law of the land, and the provisions lying therein will clarify as we move forward through 2012, 13, and by 2014, they should all crystallize and become the law of the land. Now, if it happens, it happens. But we have to live with the provisions that the Supreme Court said is the law of the land. So I take her point, I take our viewer's point, but it is what it is as of now.
But the point is, how is it going to affect me, him, her, or anybody else on the street? As we if they keep on changing, are they going to lose money? They're going to make money? Or, I mean, how's it going to affect their livelihoods, day-to-day planning? That was the main thing.
And I think you hit the point on the head. Nobody really knows, and so it's a perception. You either just totally dislike Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Health Care, or you just love it. And I think this the decision to either keep Obamacare or repeal it will hinge on either party, the Democratic Party or the Republicans, coming together and giving their versions. And let's see if the citizens of this country believes what they hear, and then they have to make their own decisions.
Fantastic. Another question from one of our viewers is, how does Medicaid work? Who is it designed for, and what does it cover?
Excellent point. We touched upon Medicaid in a previous segment we did. Medicaid is a joint federal and state program for health care and long-term care for the citizens, Americans, residents of this country and citizens of this country. And it was designed specifically for the poor, whose livelihood really depends on the state, the welfare state, whose income poverty levels are, about $25,000 for a family of four, for example.
Wow.
And that was to take care of funding by the federal government, and the federal government would then disperse these funds to the various states, and the states would have to administer the Medicaid program for their own citizens. So it all will depend. Virginia, DC, the District of Columbia, and various other states have their own laws on their own books to take care of the Medicaid funding that they get from the federal government, and it's all really all over the place. It's all very, very different for each state.
You're trying to tell me is that it would be different here in Maryland as compared to Virginia and somewhere else, and Massachusetts, they have another law altogether.
Absolutely, that's the whole idea.
Wow.
Because we have a federalist system in this country, and these states are autonomous. And so they have said, look, we pay into the US Treasury, we should get back something, and in order for us to administer the funding for healthcare for the indigent, the low-income folks that live within our states, we are more attuned. We know more about them than the federal government does.
A question just popped up in my mind now is, if the laws are better in an XYZ state as compared to Maryland, can I move down there when I'm old? I mean, just to get the advantage of whatever the state laws are.
Well, absolutely. For example, certain states such as Florida, Nevada, and a handful of others have no state income taxes. So people flock down to Florida from here and Nevada and so on. But you have to be very careful. If they don't tax you on your income, perhaps they have higher sales tax, consumers tax. So you just got to be very careful. But you are correct that a lot of the older folks do retire to, say, Florida, where the climate is warmer and the tax liabilities are less intrusive, if you like, and the income taxes are lower, for example, sales tax overall.
Fantastic. I have a lot of questions today. I hope I'll be able to cover all of them. Then there is another question which came from another viewer, and he wants to know whether the pros and cons of a franchisee business as compared to a private owned business. Right. Because he's looking into doing something, on his own. He wants to just find out accounts wise or the tax wise or in planning wise, how would it be from your perspective?
Right, excellent question. I get these questions all the time from our potential clients and clients who are entrepreneurs, who already have businesses, or are high net worth or mid net worth employees, now saying, look, we have so much experience, life experiences, and we want to now become our own self-employed people, persons. We want to have our own business so that we should get the fruits of our labor.
Exactly.
For previous experiences that we've had. And I really have to customize each person's pros and cons of becoming self-employed, whether you become a franchisee or a franchisor. Now, the brand name really matters in a franchisor-franchisee situation.
True.
And also the home office support group, whether they are, how much they are willing to support you. And the cons probably are that you are going to do what they are telling you. But there's a system you must adhere to, and you don't have too much of flexibility in how you conduct business. In a way, that's great. You get self-disciplined. You know exactly what the royalty fees are, what to do, what they are able to do, and what products you are going to sell, how they're going to sell. They've got it down pat, exactly how the system works, especially if it's a well-known household brand name. So there are pros and cons.
Pros and cons. Because the question this gentleman put to me was, being in sales all my life, was how do I digest it that I have to pay a fee for, supposing, having a 7-Eleven when the money is mine and I'm paying so much percentage to them. But I told him, at least when you have a brand name on the board, people will come automatically. They know exactly what they're buying. And that would be the right thing from your perspective. If I start a private business today, I don't know whether I'll be able to sell or not. I think the risk factor is better.
It can certainly be.
In marketing point of view. Because if you're opening a McDonald's, taking a franchise of McDonald's, everybody knows what McDonald's is. I mean, the day I open the shutter, there'll be a few people. But if I have the same thing, a burger joint or something, nobody knows what the hell I'm selling.
That's right.
So that's it. Another very interesting question which came, is this guy wants to open a business. Right. And he wants to know whether he should have a private partnership or ownership or just a simple ownership thing or LLC or what kind of things he wants. Between him and his wife, they're planning to do this. What's your recommendation on that?
Again, it is really something that you need to sit down with your tax professional, financial planner, to figure out what is best in your case. But generally speaking, if you are a small entrepreneur, a young entrepreneur starting out for the first time, you don't really have to incorporate quickly or take on partners. Why don't you just become self-employed, see how it develops, market, advertise, promote your business. Prospecting is very important when you're starting out. Once you have developed a certain niche, if you like, certain expertise, then you can become an LLC. You mentioned the limited liability company, which is like a partnership. It has its advantages and maybe one or two disadvantages. I personally like them. But then you can also become I beg your pardon, as an S corporation, which is a corporation, which is a regular corporation, but you can elect to become an S corporation with flow through taxable income to you, just like the LLC. So there are so many factors to consider: the tax factors, financial cash flow factors, all those items come into play. I'll give you a very quick example. If you think that in your business, and you have incorporated, that in the first 2-3 years that you will either break even or you will get losses because you're just developing, you don't know how much income you will generate. In my experience, having an S corporation works quite well, or an LLC, because the flow through losses that the S corporation generates come to you personally, and you are able then to take those losses on your individual income tax returns and take a tax break and reduce your tax liability.
Fantastic. You actually answered my next question, partly in it. The next question was, for a private ownership, what are the tax benefits which will give him more tax benefits? And you did answer half of it. What do you think about that?
Well, again, it would depend on your personal tax circumstances and how much of the money that you are putting in is yours, how much is debt that you have borrowed in order to invest in your corporation or your business. All those items come into play. What sort of marketing are you going to do, and the products or the services that you're going to sell? Is there a niche for them? Can you beat the big boys, the people who are already doing this business?
True.
It's more and more we are finding that Americans are coming and saying, look, we want to do this on our own because of the harsh economic times we live in. We want to be our own masters rather than be employees.
True, that's true. To the next one. This is a bit interesting. Somebody like me who's about to retire very soon. He says that on my retirement, when I cash in my money, what would the taxes be? How much do I have to pay? What am I looking for? Can I reinvest the money and save it to pay taxes for a couple of years? How does he go about it?
Well, first of all, I must say, Arif, that you're too young to even contemplate retiring. You will go on till in your 90s. I know you, and you are an entrepreneur, and so you're not going to retire anytime soon. But people who are in the twilight of their working careers, who want to retire, need to make sure, and we've talked about this many times, they must do some diversification. The D word is extremely important. Diversify your investment portfolio starting now, whether it's stocks and bonds and savings accounts. Annuities are very important these days. So all those items need to come together in a very holistic way, sitting down with your tax planner, your CPA, and going over every item of your financial health.
Fantastic. I think we have answered quite a few questions today. And for the viewers, if you have any questions, please let us know, and we'll be more than happy and glad to answer them for you. Till next time, we meet again with another episode, with another topic. And if you have any topics to help us give you any details on it, please give us a feedback. Your feedback is very important. It improves our programming. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Mr. Tariq, for being here.
My pleasure as always.